Thank you. Thank you, Scott. Thank you guys for having me. Really cool job you guys are doing out here with everything. First of all, let's get my face off of here. So I can just hit play or next one slide. All right, there we go. So I'm gonna talk about leadership. I'm gonna talk about my first book I wrote about the culinary industry and kind of what it takes to be successful. My next book that I'm writing that I am about to send off to publishers was originally going to be called Lead Like a Chef. We actually yesterday changed the title to something we don't know yet. So I'm going to be talking about a book that I haven't written yet, but some ideas that I think will be really helpful and hopefully give you maybe a different perspective. I've worked in a number of industries. I went to school at University of Alabama, got a double major in English and Spanish. Got a master's in marketing, went into consulting work, so I worked with Fortune 500 clients to troubleshoot their marketing dollars, and realized I just didn't like it, and I think a lot of it was because of my boss. We just didn't get along. She wasn't really a leader, and as a result, after about a year and a half, I quit and moved up to Virginia, where I am obviously now, and opened up a restaurant in 2010, and quickly learned that I had to be the leader and be the chef that I didn't have at my corporate job. And obviously there's some growing pains and challenges and things I had to learn along the way, and I have a few things I think that I can contribute that I've learned not only from the corporate world, but also kind of the chef world where things are crazy and intense, and that you aren't often able to pay the people that the money they deserve. They have to work long hours, it's hot, it's stressful, something goes wrong every day. And if you can lead a group of people in that kind of environment, very similar to like here in the Hampton Roads area with like the military, then you can like lead anyone. So I'm gonna talk about some of those things, and this is a Men Wanted ad from 1921. This is Ernest Shackleton, if anyone knows his story. Explorer of the Antarctic, and it's for hazardous journey, small wages, bitter cold, long months of complete darkness, constant danger, safe return doubtful, honor and recognition in case of success. And they went off, he got his crew, went off the Antarctic, and he actually died at the end of the voyage. But I think this is, first of all, it's very clear kind of what he's putting out there and trying to get out of his employees. I think a lot of times we don't know exactly what we want for our companies. We don't actually maybe even have those conversations with our teams or have things really set up in the early stages. So we kind of just hire people for jobs. I can tell you for me, one of the most meaningful experiences in my career has been up at the restaurant in 2010. Things were stressful. We were not making any money. I worked for essentially free for the first 3 years there, and working another 40, 50 hours a week on the side just to be able to pay the bills. We had a great staff that was really loyal, committed to us, and at a certain point, the holidays came around, and for a restaurant, we were only open from breakfast and lunch. Holidays came, we were closed for certain days, so any money we could get coming into the restaurant was helpful. Would help us be able to pay our bills, would help us pay rent, would help us to be able to pay payroll on every other Friday. And we had some tough decisions to make. It was essentially, we're gonna maybe need to lay some people off or find ways to tighten things so we can keep going through the new year. One of the roles was our kind of part-time dishwasher who had been really loyal with us. We brought him from another restaurant that we all kind of had worked at before, and we were just talking, trying to figure out how to make it work. And one of our employees overheard that and got together with the rest of the employees and said, let's figure out how we can make this work with James so we don't have to lay him off and then he has to find another job and be all stressed out. So they came to us a few days later and said, we'll all take a pay cut so that James can hang around and so that we can keep him on board while things are tough. And then when things get better, we can go from there and maybe come back to what we're making now. And for me, that was one of those like proud dad moments, I guess. I'm not a father yet, but where it's like, I have these people that really believe in what we're doing here, and as a result, they're willing to sacrifice, not for my gain, but really for somebody that they believe in as well. And again, in a restaurant, it's a really challenging industry. So I look at, again, like kind of where we start out, where we're going, and if you don't really know where you're going, you can end up anywhere, which can be kind of scary because I don't know if anyone knows who Michael Hyatt is. He wrote a book this last spring, and he makes this reference to this thing called the drift. Like, you're out at sea and you drift somewhere, and you never really expected to go there. And you don't really ever drift anywhere where you want to go. So having that kind of clear vision and understanding of where it is that you want to go for your company, for yourself, for your life, for your relationships, whatever, I think is massively important. So the biggest thing I'm asking, as I'm working on this book and trying to find like all the key points is, are we hiring for a job or for a mission? And I can tell you for a long time, at the restaurant, we would hire for a job. Oh, we need a dishwasher. We need a line cook. We need a server. Meanwhile, we were just cycling through them, and they were in for a couple months, and they'd be out. Versus once we, like I told the situation with James, brought people on board that really understood, like, this is what these guys represent. This is what they want to do in the community, and we want to be a part of it. That's when things changed, and we were able to really grow and get some powerful people working for us. But most of us don't, so we end up looking like that. I can tell you that was me for a long time. I was telling Zach yesterday, I think it was, that I was the guy. We had an open kitchen, kind of like it set up here, and I was working 100 hours a week, barely getting by because I was only getting paid for half those hours somewhere else. And I was the guy that you see on TV that would slam ovens and slam doors and break plates and yell at people. And I'm a pretty chill guy. Zach's back there laughing at me. I'm a pretty chill guy, for the most part. But you put somebody in a stressful situation, and they start doing things that they're not proud of, that none of us want to do, that we don't want our moms to see. And so what do we represent? That's something that I think there's two questions to ask, and this is the first one. Like, what do we represent? Whether it's out of the gates or it's in the hiring process. But like, a female I was actually talking to culinary school in Atlanta a couple months ago, and she asked, Chris, can you get me a job for the summer? It was like an externship or summer job. And I was like, well, what are you looking for? And she's like, well, I'm not really sure, just a job in the restaurant industry. And I'm like, well, that doesn't really help me. Like, what are you looking for? Like, if you like seafood, maybe you should find a job in a seafood restaurant, or maybe you love baking. Why would I put you in a steakhouse if you want to be a baker? So, having that clear understanding of what it is that you want to do, but then also like what the organization does, I think that helps attract the right customers. They see really what you're about. Simon Sinek talks a lot about like the signs and signals we put out there, tell the world, to tell everybody, what it is that we represent. And then the other question would be, so we have this funnel, right, where we have all these people, our customers, our employees. They start at the top of the funnel, and we want them all to get down to the bottom, because that would be money in the bank, right, and it'd be a successful company. But obviously that's not going to happen. There's some sort of sieve system where we have to separate some off, some make it through or end up being a part of what we're doing and part of the mission versus just the job. But most of us don't really ask the right questions, I don't think. I can tell you that's definitely been me for a lot of my career. We kind of make it just about us. What does the other person want out of this interaction? My employee. If I'm hiring somebody, how many of us have been in that interview for a job or give that interview? I know I have, where it's just the same old questions. So, what did you like about your last job? Or versus asking important questions and questions that help you to learn about actually what this person is and how they might be in a stressful situation. And I call these kind of qualifier questions. So it'd be something like, what was the last team environment you worked in that you really enjoyed being a part of? And what is it that made that meaningful for you? Or what was the biggest challenge you've had in your life? And how did you deal with that or overcome, and what did that mean to you? Types of questions that show that you're actually talking to somebody, that there's an interaction there, and that I think getting to like the past the skin deep part of it helps you to understand if you actually really want this person, around for the long run. And what do they want? I think a lot of us think, oh, like I'm doing a favor by hiring this person, helping them with their bills and mortgage, all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, I think we are really indebted to the people and have the obligation to provide them with a great place to work, but also better opportunities so that they can keep moving their career forward. And sitting down in an interview with somebody, what are you looking to get out of your career? What do you want to get out of working with us here? Is it just, maybe somebody just wants a summer job to pay bills, but maybe they want to actually really learn and grow into a year from now they can do something similar and move their way up and work their way up the ranks. But a lot of us, I think, have trouble putting ourselves in the shoes of somebody else, even though we've probably been there before. And I think it just takes standing up and being strong, and through all of this the last couple months of researching and studying and learning and conversations I've had with this guy that I've been writing the book with, I think the biggest thing we've learned is that it's about standing up, and that can be hard, it can be scary, but I think it's almost always worth it. You learn a lot about what you're doing, about yourself, and I look at kind of the way my career has taken shape in the last couple of years. I've gone from just being in a restaurant every day, which is great, and being able to kind of impact my employees on a daily basis, but taking that, and then now I am able to connect with thousands of people every day through writing articles or videos or talks, and it just takes having a point of view and knowing that it's important to you and sticking to it, and knowing that the right people are going to find it. So in consulting, we had all these Fortune 500 clients, but a lot of them weren't the right fit for us. And as a result, the relationship, the dynamic didn't really work for us. And the same thing I think is with the relationships with your employees. But if you stand up for it, and this is one of my favorite quotes, is you'll get all you want in life if you help enough other people get what they want. And I think that's kind of been my motto for how I've tried to live my life, at least the last 5 or 7 years. People always ask how I was able to get 100 or 100,000, 110,000 Facebook followers, get opportunities like speaking at TEDx like with Zach, and I think it's because of this. I think it's because I was more concerned with being generous and providing people with value that they could connect with and that could maybe help them, and then in turn, now I'm able to, on the back end, kind of use that to form as a business. So I think when we look at our businesses, when we look at what we're creating, there's this one company, and it drives me crazy. They're in the restaurant space, so nobody here probably knows them, but they're a POS system, so they point of sale, and they want me to write for them, and I'm checking them out, and their Facebook or their all their emails, I get an email from every day almost, and it's always, come check out our website, come check out, here's why you should buy our products, versus how can I help you as the customer? I was listening to a podcast recently with Seth Godin, the marketer, and he was talking about in-ground swimming pools. He's like, the best way to become a trusted in-ground swimming pool maker, I guess, whatever you call it, constructor, is to start a blog or a video series where you show everyone the pitfalls and things that go wrong in the process of making a pool come to life, and putting that out there. And it's not going to happen overnight or over 3 or 6 or 9 months, but 2 or 5 or 8 years later, you're going to have people bang on your door because you're the guy that everybody trusts to make pools. So that's what I've tried to do here in this industry, and I just thank you, Scott, y'all, for having me here. And that's kind of all I got. But if we have any questions or anything else, yeah.